Good morning. Today is the 14th of March 2024 and I'm just going to go through my trading plan for today. On my screen, before we start, let's look at the economic calendar, and today we had some big news coming at 8:30, PPI retail sales, and there was a big negative reaction in the market to that. 10 o'clock we've got business inventories, so just be a bit wary in a trade around 10. And then pretty much not much after that, a few gas and bill auctions and mortgage rate. Okay, so just be wary at 10 o'clock today. Okay, so we're looking at the ES, which is the S&P E-mini futures 1 hour time frame. Not great levels really. We're coming up into all-time high. We're still sitting in this level, this area of supply created back in Friday last week, and kind of really waiting for it to either break out of this area here or kind of break down of this area. Yesterday was a pretty narrow range day. We didn't put in much of a range at all. We're kind of still in that range right now. So with that in mind, obviously sticking with the trend as well, the trend is your friend. I still want to try and catch an uptrend entry, and I'm going to be watching for pre-market high, break and retest, although we will be going into this area here, all-time highs, so that will be more keep it tight. There's not much volume in that area, so potentially we could see a break and retest of all-time highs. Originally, before the pre-market, I was going to go for a break and retest of yesterday's highs, but we kind of broken through that with the news at 8:30. So we just want to wait for a trend entry. If I were looking for a higher probability trade, then I'll be watching around the 52.20, 52.18 area, and that's an area of confluence and a higher probability for a bounce. It's not an amazing area, there's not much confirmation, not much confluence, but we've got bottoms of candles here, kind of bottoms of bodies of candles, tops of candles, the bodies of candles, and we've got the bottom pivot from yesterday's low as well. So kind of looking for a bounce at yesterday's low. So 52.18.25 is the area I'm watching, 52.20, that's kind of that area. So that's two longs. As for rejections, I can't really see any rejections at the moment. Maybe if we get back up into all-time high area, we can look for a rejection, but it'll have to be with confirmation and treat it as a scalp, so higher risk. If we break down below the pre-market low and we get below this 50 moving average and we hold below it, then we've got, before we get to this bounce here, we've got this void below, and I quite like looking for a break and retest of the pre-market low into that target area for a possible target or a reversal. And that's it really, just those three levels. Keep it simple today. There's nothing else I can see. Let's go to the daily. We always like to look at the higher time frame to see where we are with things, and we can see we are just kind of honouring the bottom of this channel. Again, I think I talked about this last few days, we've got a bit of a decline in volume and we've yet to get over that area. We haven't yet to test the top end of this channel as well. So we've got higher volume coming in as well, which sometimes signifies an end of a trend, and if you go to volume price analysis. And obviously we're pretty extended. If you look at it on the daily, we're somewhere away from the 50 moving average and the 200 moving average. We haven't been down there until we saw them both come together at the end of November. So we are due a bit of a pullback, but when that happens is anyone's guess. It always seems, whether we have news, whether it's good news or bad news, the market's just going up, 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 and that's it really. So just those three levels to watch. And that's it. Yeah, nothing really else. I can't see anything else. Kind of watching for a pre-market low, high risk bounce as well. You could probably add that in at 52.35. We get into the 50 moving average as well. Kind of the tops of those areas, bottoms of that area when we pushed up yesterday, when we closed the close point. But not brilliant. That's a higher risk bounce, pre-market low, but I prefer the break and retest short. And same as a pre-market high, even though we're looking for a break and retest to continue the trend, we can also look for a rejection up in that area as well, because it's all-time highs just a few days ago, and we're in that area of supply. Okay, so that's it for ES. We'll come back at the end, see if there's any movement. I'm going to start with the monthly on this chart, and just to go reiterate the fact we've got this trend line goes back 24 years to the year 2000, and we touched it again in 2021, 2022 area, and we're kind of right in that area now. So I personally think this is at overhead resistance, and we're pretty extended as well, and you know, we haven't been back down to the 50 moving average since 2022, end of 2023, and we haven't been down to the 200 moving average since, what was that, August 2011. And look at it in the daily, we're pretty extended on the daily as well. Quite a fair distance away from the 20, the 50 and the 200. And we haven't been down to this 200 area since October 2023. And that's it. So just look at kind of big reaction on that pivot there. We're kind of expecting a big reaction as well, but who knows, it's difficult. But just bear that in mind as well. We're pretty extended and we're coming into that trend line. So let's go back into the hourly and get some levels. I'll go into a little trade I made in the pre-market in a second. It just proves that I read the market right, but it was only because I was testing out my Apex account. My copier wasn't working, so I was doing some tests on it. So I wasn't committed to the trade, but I took it because I knew it's the right direction. Look at that, I didn't realise we made a new all-time high in pre-market, so kind of that's an area to watch for rejection. Last time we made it, we had this big reaction down, and potentially this might be the start of another big reaction down. This yellow line is the weekly or monthly trend, but remember, it's not really a line, it's a region, and it could be a big region as well. It's a monthly trend line, so it could be anywhere. That's why I'm not too fussed about it not going through at the moment. It's just that's how I've drawn it. But it's waiting to see what the smart money on institutes do with their money. Bounce wise, yesterday's low area, maybe the 50 moving average. 514 area confluence, again as we had before, tops and bottoms, bodies of candles, tops and bottoms of candles there, and this pivot as well. High volume is kind of down here as well, so we could look for a bounce around that area, 512, 513, but this alone is not good enough. You know, we really want to see high volume and area confluence or a pivot. There's not much there. That's it really for SPY. Potentially a break and retest low into that target of yesterday's low for a bounce, or continuation of the trend, pre-market high, break and retest, or rejection. Look at NQ. I'm not a big fan of this still. I think I said that yesterday, I didn't quite like what I was seeing. Potentially we're seeing something like this setting up. Until we break that pivot and that pivot, kind of in this range, probably you could argue and say this pivot up here and these pivots down here, we need to see it break through there somewhere. So, let's get rid of that. Don't like many trades, but if I had to find a trade to break this structure, we can watch for a break and retest of pre-market high. Target can be 18,500. Pre-market high is 18,425. And the same if we break and retest yesterday's low, break and retest low at 18,275 with a target potentially down at this pivot here, which is 18,175. But that's it, there's nothing I like. Let's have a look at Qs. QQQ. Yellow line is that weekly trend line, same as what we saw in SPY, so we're kind of, you could say we're kind of honouring it, bounce off it, but like I said, it's a big region, you can't treat it as a line. You know, that monthly, weekly trend line can be that thick, so it's just an area, but this is an area where we could be starting to see a bit of weakness and potentially looking for a drop down. You know, you could be looking at a left shoulder, head, right shoulder right now, and the neckline is pretty much that weekly level, same as on the NQ. You could be looking at the same left shoulder. You know, you don't even have to have a defined head and defined. This could be the left shoulder here, this could be the head, potentially we could be putting in the left shoulder, maybe the neckline down there. But let's just get some levels for QQQ. So our previous levels invalidated now from yesterday, but I like a few days ago, I like the break and retest of 444. Potentially a pre-market high. It's kind of, let's just take it pre-market high. We've got to get through yesterday's high and a pre-market high, and we have got a target area. So it's I'm not going to trade it, but I don't like it. But if we can get through that area there, kind of through that area there, kind of gives an area we can look at. So break and retest of yesterday's low with a target where the point of control is in at 438, or break and retest, most likely because we're in an uptrend, this is a higher probability one, and we're in the upper end of this. Couldn't quite come down and test the bottom that great. Make sure there's no pivot down there, so kind of we're in the upper half of this wedge, and usually that means we're tightening up before we have a breakout. So pre-market high, break in, retest, long, but tread carefully. SPX. Let's quickly look at the monthly on this, because you can see, I'm not quite sure that line's out, but that's that weekly trend line, monthly trend line. We're kind of in it right now. Volume is kind of average, so we're not seeing any signs that it's slowing down. But we'd be interested to see how this candle, because we've got this big wide range candle last week, and we've got 1 day left and a smaller range candle right now, and it's half the volume already. We've only got 1 day left, or 2 days left really. So back to the hourly. Another area of confidence we could add in here, 51.43, 51.40 area. But I prefer, now I'm going to stick with this area, 5100 bounce area. We've held it there, we've retested it a couple of times as well. So watch 5100. If we sell off, we can watch for a bounce, and if we get a bounce, I'll take it on ES. Gold starting to show a bit of weakness, curving around. The key area is this level here, 2160 for a break and retest. Let's just put in a level 2163 for a break and retest low. However, it will be into this 200 moving average, so probably if we can get below and hold below the 200, 2157, that'll be a better trade. Other than that, always look back. I'm glad I did, because I can see this bounce area, so we can watch for a potential bounce area down here again, and that's, yeah, kind of there. You know what, I'm going to take back the retest. Let's get rid of that one. I kind of like the bounce off of the 200 only because of that pivot. Let's go back further. Can we go back further? Let's go on to weekly. Yeah, well, here we go. I like the bounce. We're putting in a bit of a 3-bar play here. So maybe watch for a breakout above 220 as well, with a target of 2250. Yeah, we kind of cleared a lot. We've got a big void above. So breakout of 220 or the pullback down into this area for a bounce. That's off the hourly. So this is more of a swing trade, quite extended. I probably won't want to take until it comes back down again. We need a pullback of at least 50% of this candle for a swing. So back to the hourly. Now we know where potentially it could be breaking out. We could watch here for a bounce, and then hopefully through the last few days highs. Next is oil. This is CL. It's been going sideways for some time now, and we want to see it break out over this range, this big range, kind of this area here. And either we're going to break out, come back in, we can look for an entry there long, or we're going to come back down and retest that area. If I was looking for an area of confluence, then potentially kind of like pre-market low, bounce at pre-market low, come back down around here, and let's just do the fibs on this. So 50% is at yesterday's low as well. So potentially we could watch yesterday's low for a bounce as well. Let's just switch this for a... We've got the 618 down here as well. That's it really on oil. RTY, which is the E-mini Russell 2000. Kind of looking tired. Again, we need to break down through this boxed area, potentially here. So that's the areas we're watching. So break and retest pre-market high for a long, potentially a break and retest short of the pre-market low, which is also yesterday's low. But we're coming into this area of volume based on this volume profile and the point of controls down there. So this could be a good bounce area at 2080. So that's it really for RTY, and then last is YM, which is the Dow Jones. Looking left a bit, we've got overhead resistance. Let's just draw that in there, kind of an area of supply. Let's just draw a supply area in. Interesting to see, we just drew that supply area in, and that's based on the big move up and then the reaction afterwards. And I'd take the bodies of the candles, and we kind of touched supply back in February, and you know, within a few ticks we touched it again, and I wasn't even looking at that. So kind of this area we may get a reaction from, if this is not already the reaction. So potentially if we get into this area we can look for a short, and else that's difficult when we're getting so close to supply. A bounce at pre-market low, and to continue this uptrend. You know, we were trending up, then we kind of pulled back a bit, didn't break that candle, and we're putting in another hourly uptrend. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. This could be part of the new higher low. We could see it push up. And then finally, actually I know I said finally for this one, let's look at Bitcoin. The day is very overextended. Look at the RSI as well. I don't think I've seen RSI that high for a long time. And that's on the daily. Lots of volume. Hammer candle. That's a first sign of weakness. A big hammer candle there. That's a sign of weakness as well. And you say, why is it a sign of weakness? If you see a hammer candle down here like that one, that's on a pullback. You kind of want to, that will be an entry. That's a sign of strength from the buyers. But up here, we've had sellers push it all the way down. We've had sellers push it all the way down. So it's showing signs of weakness. We are very extended from the 20, 50, 200, sorry, the 20, 50, 200. And we're due a bit of a pullback at least to the 50, the 20 or the 50. If it gets back down to this area, I'll be looking to add back into my trade. I've got a small Bitcoin trade and I've taken profit off at 60, I think it was 61, this area. When I first started seeing the volume come in, so I took some profit off on that red candle. As it came down, I took profit about there. Then I took some off at 69 and then again at 72. So that's kind of where I've been. And I've got a little tiny bit left. If we do see a run, then at least I'm still in on the trend. I think that's it. Let's look at ES again. Kind of coming into our bounce area now. This is a higher risk bounce area. Pre-market low, current pre-market low, and a 50 moving average. So 52, 35, 75. So I'm going to be watching that area. I'll be using order flow. Let's just flick over to my order flow screen. I'll be using order flow for this. Nothing unusual. The cumulative delta is going with the price, so it doesn't look like we've got any big buyers or any aggressive buying at the moment. We've got aggressive selling bar deltas on the order flow. A few more sellers coming in, so it doesn't look like it wants to bounce just yet. And we haven't got any. And what I also look for is low single digit sellers. So when they start going into single digits, it's looking tight. Like up here, we've got buyers. That is a great area to get a reversal in. We've got higher volume there. We've got a point of control kind of next to each other, so it kind of sets this area up for a potential area of resistance. It's these two. That's showing me that there's weakness from the buyers. They weren't going to push it up anymore on the ask. And look at this. We've got these red numbers are showing strength from the sellers, and these are the bar imbalances. So you can see 1, 16, 25, 93. They're all more than 3 times greater because it's done diagonally. So there was no buyers at that price. So that's a big sign of weakness as well. And even buyers down here weren't interested. So that is a short every day, but it's just trying to pick an entry. And what level is that? 52.46. So if we go back to the hourly levels, and probably the reason why I get 52.46. Oh, look at that. An area we were watching for a rejection. So kind of at a level as well. Yesterday's high. So it may have been a trade. Anyway, market's opening in 5 minutes, and trade safe.